Welcome to Engineer Versus, Introduction to Prezi. This is part 5, the templates. So we're going to take a quick look at the templates that we have and what we're going to use. So before we had talked about some of the Prezis before, and here's the Prezis that we have on the website with this particular account. So to take a look at the presentations that you want to start with templates, you can take a look and explore with some of the others. This time we're going to load a new Prezi, so it's making a brand new one. And this time what we're going to do is use one of the templates. So I might have searched before for something else, but let's look for engineer and see what comes up. So a whole bunch of stuff is going to come up. In other words, everything. It's not finding anything there. Let's try blueprint. Okay, so there's blueprint, there's white space. So this is a decent one I've used before actually. So what I know here is that this has a 3D background to it. So we used a 3D background before. You can use different ones that, again, you can look at the examination where it kind of reviews each one of these items and it puts them in order. Assembly, what it takes to create something, or like to explain a topic, how many different subjects might be interrelated with a particular topic. This one, I'm going to use this white space and I'm going to use that template. So if you don't have the correct template, that's okay. You can figure out how to use it anyway. So with this particular template, what I want to review is how does this look? How is it going to work? So I can add a title at the top, and what this is, it looks like a nice clean white room, nice space. Maybe you're going to be talking about sterilization or clean rooms or something like that. But in order to get a good idea, you can put present and you can say, okay, how is this going to work? So the title will be at the top, and you can add text in each one of these frames. You can see how this works with 3, 4, and then 5, and then back out again. So and then back into the conclusion, and that's your presentation. So you get a good idea of what that is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It just makes a circle around there, and you can have a good idea of what that's going to be. Now from here, this subject becomes your complete your presentation from here on out. So even though you might want to have like something a little uneven or something like that, what you can do is just add some extra frames in here, and just like last time, you can start to add all sorts of things and do some nifty things in here. So even if we say copy that particular frame in here, and you notice how it's copied at the exact same angle, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this, and I'm going to, and the other thing is, notice how it changes once you start to move it. It changes the angle to things. So I'm going to say, let's put this a little bit off angle here, and what I'm going to do is add it to the path. Where does it add it? Right at the bottom there. So this is the thing with the templates. I want this to be, say, number 2, so, or number 3. So I want this to be 2, 3, and 4, and so on. I want it to go around this way, just like our other presentation. And what I'll do is I'll move things around here. So working with templates, it can be quite easily to do. And you can notice how things change here. You can customize these templates. So even though you might have a template that begins, you can start customizing to have something unique to what you want to have. You can add the text, you can click around, do all these sorts of different things. And notice that whenever you zoom to frame, again, the grid disappears behind. You don't need to worry about that too much. And we can just change this. Let's go with Lagoon and see how this works, how this looks. Zoom out. You can see how this looks with all the different themes that are in here. This one, maybe flight works out well. Not really sure. Anyway, what we can do is we can save and close, exit out of this presentation. And it's going to drop it. Hopefully, yeah. So basically it's going to drop it out and close it out right there. It's going to say, okay, your recent ones, this is your recent, another recent one there. I'm just going to close it out. Now if I do a refresh here, what you should notice is instantly it adds it over here. So even if you say, okay, I'm going to use this one, but then I really don't like it, guess what? You can go ahead and scrap it. So instead, I'm going to go and look at another template. Let's see if we can find another template that's on the cloud. There's a lot of cloud computing on. Maybe that's something that you can relate to with, say, some computer scientists. And above the clouds, how do we get there? Maybe you're talking about VMware, whatever it may be. Notice that there's this background image that's back here. That's pretty neat to have, and you can go ahead and add and customize your own in there. So you can go with the more advanced 3D images back there, again with a 3D background. You can add your own. You can update. See, this one's already in there with the clouds in there. They've already themed it for you, but you can upload your own as well. Now, if you can see, you can add up to 3 background layers. They will fade as you zoom in your Prezi. So what we'll do is we'll add another one. We'll say, okay, in those clouds, we're going to have, say, this one. We're going to have that. It's going to resize for us because our image is too large. And we'll add, say, this one, just because it sort of matches with the grayness of the clouds. Now you can switch out any of those. We'll hit done and done, and you can see that it'll disappear for the most part. So the idea is that you're going to need to move or back it off behind, and zooming way out here, you can see that nothing is there. So you can zoom right back in here, and notice that frame 1 and frame 6 are the same. So it's the same frame here, by the way. And the other thing with the templates is you can go ahead and double click these guys and animate the frame content. You can see the path here, you can animate this path. So this allows you to do all of that, figure out what you want to do, animate it, move it around, be done with it, etc. So here we've got some different animations that are in here already, it looks like. So we've got some water, some exclamation point, a cloud, and a sun. Well, we're done with that. Let's just see how this works when we present this. So again, I guess they're not animated, they just have these symbols that are in there. And that's it. So it's like a 4-step presentation. And again, if you want to add your own, you can see how clearly this is done. Escaping out again, you can see that they just have some arrows in here. Go ahead and add a circle frame. Maybe there's something else that's here. And you can stretch this out, so maybe you have a big water droplet here. But you can add in all sorts of files and so on. I think that one of the things that we can insert is symbols and shapes. So they have styles that work along here that you can work with, but these are all the same no matter which presentation you have. So they have some simple dark ones that you can use, and here, say, let's add this. And we're going to add that right to that, and it's a dark cloud. Well, I don't want the dark, I also want the white, so the white cloud is also along that same sort of area. So we have a dark cloud, we have a white cloud that matches this theme. Alright, we're doing well. They also have the regular symbols here. You cannot do links within Prezi at this moment, or at this time. But take a look at all the numbers and everything else, all the symbols that are here. If you want something that's a little bit more unique, or might be a little bit better for you, you might want to take a look at the etched. This is a little bit cleaner look, might provide something that works out for you in this particular scene. So you notice that they had like a water droplet in one of their others. Well, we can add a big water droplet here. Maybe we put it outside here to say that there's something falling out of the sky. I don't know. Something like that for an idea. But notice that all of these are these different styles. You can add these shapes as well and stickers. So these are just cute of the same sort of thing, by the way. The shapes are very simple. So these shapes are basically like frames, but they're not they're not like frames that you can add or make any changes to. So what I'll do is, since we have some circles going on here, I'll add this circle here. And notice that this starts out as a thick one, even though, say, I might have grabbed this and plopped it in. Notice that that's the case. Here I'm going to go with the style, and I'm going to say it's this. Well, I go back and I change, I go up here. I can make it a favorite, do whatever I want with it. But it's basically like an open like dot that we're talking about. So I can change all those items that go along with that. So I can add it to my favorites, and I can delete it. I can do the same with any of these shapes that go along with that. So if I add this shape, you notice how this, as far as the style goes, and let's see, and then I can edit the triangle. We'll just do the same thing, so it'll make it thicker or thinner on the outside, and this just becomes like a block that you can use. So what I've used triangles for in the past is just kind of directional to work with like arrows and such. And you can make this to match the style. That's what I was aiming for. See, it's a little bit off. Oh, there it is as far as the color. Now it's matching. So to match the color style that you might have going on with the theme. So those are some simple shapes. You add some lines and some arrows. So you can draw the arrows, draw the lines, and you can start to get some details in here. Start to do a lot of anything that you might be able to do in other software programs. All right, let's see. All those that are under the styles and shapes and all of this, that's going to be the same no matter what your presentation is. All right, let's exit this guy and go back. We'll leave this page. We don't really want that. Again, if we refresh, we're going to see that probably that presentation is going to show up again, and it's untitled this time. We'll drop it. And again, we'll go for another template just to see what's out there. So you can see how quickly I'm rolling through this, how fast you can sort of set up and see what's going to work for you. You can see what might really work is one of these take flights, and you can really look at that. Let's look at this world map, like an antique world map. That looks interesting. An impact, that looks like shattered glass there. That looks pretty impactful as well. Let's look at this one with the world map. Maybe in order to move something from up here in Saskatchewan into, say, Denver, and then you want to move it over somewhere in North Africa, and then say Moscow. It's looking like in Russia there. You can add a title, text, all these different things, but then you can start to peek at or take out some of these things. So if you use it in one spot or another, you can sort of say, hey, I can grab this or grab that. You can see how this is composed of several different items, and I can ungroup that. And you see how these are just waves? I can take that, each one of these things, and add it instead as a favorite. So suddenly that ship is in my favorites. Why? Because, hey, it's a cool ship. Somebody took the time to load up all of these items in this particular template for us, and I can take that out and move it along. So if I have something that has shipping or something like that, I can move it along and have it in another presentation that would be just like that. And what you'll notice is under my content, everything that I've loaded up before is going to end up being under there, even though it's basically from my Prezis. So you notice that this, did I load that under my favorites? There it is. It finally showed up. All right, so I've already got it there. I can also scrap it out of my favorites as well, so I don't clutter things up. But essentially somebody took the time to figure out how this is all going to work, and if I do a presentation of this, I can get a good feel of how this is going to work. And yep, it's going to go from one spot to another, and then it's going to hop over and then over to Russia. So we'll give that world stage. Basically, that's that presentation. That's pretty nifty. Maybe that'll work. Maybe I just need to slide, different spots over and say, well, instead of that, I need to go, to China as third, and say go to Singapore fourth. So I might put, say, down here near Singapore, and I might go to China, and I might go instead to Brazil. So you notice that all of these arrows will need to change as well, and I can simply do that by moving this. I'm going to China next, I believe, so I can just change my arrow just like that. This was the next arrow. I'm going to just keep that theme and say, okay, going from China to Singapore, pretty close. I just need to figure that out. And you can see how close this, or how easily this gets changed based on what you need. And I can make this a really big one. Say I'm doing shipping or something like that, and it's multi-phased. That might work for a presentation that you're doing for this type of thing. So take a good look at all the templates, and again, the templates will show up here. And see how there's another untitled template. We don't want it. So what we're going to do is look at another one. Yeah, one last one, and we'll look at the impact this time. So you have a good idea of what this entails, how easy Prezi can be moved and changed. Now, it starts out with a few small ones. In a typical presentation, you might even have, say, 60 slides. And you're trying to cover an hour, and you're trying to do it in less than a couple minutes a slide here and there, and you might have some graphics that you might just skim through. That might work out well with Prezi. Now, another thing here is look at this path. So we might have like a 1 where we're looking at the overall, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 maybe, and then 8 is the overall. So you can see the title, both the start and the finish there. So let's take a look at this presentation, and we might think about maybe having lots of subjects under here. So say this is the big picture. We're having a big impact. How do we want to do that? How do we drive that? And you might put a lot of your presentation items in one spot. So that might be a neat effect there, where you saw how that zooms in and it looks like it creates a bigger impact there. And how does it work with that? And essentially all of this shatterness, or all these lines and spots, these nodes, are all in the background 3D image. So if you have something creative, you can start to overlay your given frames around that, whether they're invisible or not. And then you'll slide around using that. But the idea is you can start putting in all sorts of these other frames inside of here. So if you have 60 frames that you're trying to get in here, or 60 slides that you're trying to adapt for this, you can definitely do this, even though you might have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can start to put in, say, 12 images over here, 6 graphs over here, another 7, 8, 10 graphs over there, maybe some more details over here of time and temperature or whatever it may be. And you can start to add a lot of detail with that, and it'll start to populate this. It'll make the Prezi larger, but it'll populate it and make it much more impactful, especially if you have a lot of images that say you're looking at a particular site, and that particular site has a lot of things that impact the main site. Well, you can look at how that does that, whether it's, say, coding, or say graphically, or say how you're editing, or how you're changing the lighting on something. All these different things can be impactful on the main subject, and you can fit it all under these different categories. Then, of course, if you have, say, 3 main categories with a couple splinters, you can add more or less. It's all about how that organization goes together, and you can display it a lot more clearly in a bigger presentation box like this. And notice that this is an invisible frame here. That makes it a heck of a lot better whenever you're doing a presentation than when you're trying to get that big image, big picture image on a bunch of slides in a PowerPoint or other presentation software. So I hope this has been useful to understand the different templates as well, and working with Prezi yet again, and how easy this can work, and how you can organize and keep the flow to your presentation going, not just for your own sake, but so that other people can understand you, that you can convey your message much more clearly and concisely and very visually, as compared to having a bunch of slides just follow one right after the other. Thank you very much.